welcome back to my channel. My name is Deja, also known as the Healed Scholar. And for those who are new here, welcome. I am a third-year PhD student at Indiana University studying higher education and student affairs. And we're back with another video. I have so much to share today. This video is going to be different than most of the content I usually make because I usually film vlogs, days in my life, writing tips, talking about research, all those things. But today is going to be a little bit different. So there has been a lot of stuff going on within higher education, especially as it pertains to Black women. And today I have experienced something that was particularly off-putting, and I just feel that it is time for me to share my story. It is time for me to share things that have been going on behind the scenes in my life, things that go on behind the scenes at all higher education institutions. It is just time to simply come forward. We cannot afford to lose another life. We cannot afford to lose another Black woman in leadership. We cannot afford people to be sick, chronically ill, stressed out to the point where it is handicapping them. We can no longer afford those things. So I wanted to come on and just make this video because I just feel particularly moved to do so. I feel that as a person that studies Black people, who is an advocate, who does lots of activism work, lots of service work, I have to come forward and really start speaking about the truth that goes on within the ivory tower. So while people usually commend me for getting a doctorate, they're like, oh my God, Deja, you're getting this PhD, it's so wonderful, that's great. But there is a lot to be said behind what happens behind those three letters of PhD. It is not all peachy and rosy. It is not all good. It is not all that. And today I want to just come forward and share my story. The Lord has told me 2024 is a year of truth. It is a year where things that have been done behind the scenes have to be revealed in the light. And today I'm here to share what I have been through, things I have experienced, and the racism, discrimination, oppression I've dealt with as a Black woman in higher education. But before I really start talking about that, I also just want to have a disclaimer that if you are still thinking about going to school to get a doctorate, I highly encourage you to do that. I do not want this to be something where future grad students do not want to do this work, because we need you. We need people to be up front, to be on the front lines, fighting, advocating for justice and for human rights. We need this type of energy, okay? So I don't want people to feel like, oh my God, this is something I really don't want to do. This is something that is toxic. This is something I want to stay away from. Like, no, I want you to get your doctorate if this is something you are passionate about. Also, I also just want to briefly share that this is a way of how I advocate, and the Lord has called me to use my voice to be upfront and to say things that have been happening for way too long. And if I'm being honest, y'all, I am tired of biting my tongue. I have kept my mouth shut to protect other people's jobs, to protect my peace, to just protect myself from being retaliated. But you know what? Today's the day where all of that stops. I'm done. It is time to speak up, be forward, and talk about the damage and the toxicity of higher education and how it disproportionately and adversely affects Black women. And today I'm going to share my story of what I've been through. Okay, so I'm going to use my phone for notes. If y'all see me looking down, that's what this is. So earlier this fall, 2 Black women presidents died at their job. Dr. Epps of Temple University and also Dr. Montag of Volunteer State Community College. Both died earlier this past fall as a result of stress due to chronic illnesses. Also, just most recently, Dr. Candia Bailey at Lincoln University has died by suicide due to workplace bullying due to her supervisor, which is a white male that was a president. Also, Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard, she has resonated and she has stepped away from her role as president just after only 6 months. Y'all, if that's not enough to say something is wrong within higher education, I don't know what is. But I will say this, I am heartbroken for the families and the children and the communities that have lost those 3 beautiful, amazing Black women. And my heart is with them, and I send all my condolences. But I specifically want to commend Dr. Claudine Gay for walking away from Harvard, because academia and higher education is extremely toxic for Black women. We are held to standards that are not even humanly possible to meet. We are constantly micromanaged from the clothes we wear, the hairstyles we have, the way we talk, the way we act. We are constantly policed. We are constantly surveillance. Everything we do just seems like it is wrong. And I just commend Dr. Gay for leaving. But to the 3 women, especially with Dr. Candia Bailey, I especially want to sympathize with her family, because I know what it feels like to be in that situation. She has dealt with tremendous amounts of stress. Tremendous amounts of stress. For those who do not know, Dr. Candia Bailey was a vice president at Lincoln University, which is a historically Black college in Missouri. She was bullied at her job, and she asked her supervisor if she could get some more flexibility, some time off work, and just less tasks so she could take care of her mental health. And her requests were ignored, and that has led to her untimely death. And like Dr. Candia Bailey, I sympathize, because there have been times where I have dealt with similar things, where I've asked for time off and I was met with an argument, where I even sent in letters and it was met with a, okay, whatever. And the fact that Black women's mental health and physical health is not taken seriously in higher education is extremely disgusting to me, because higher education especially pushes for, oh, we want diversity, we want belonging and inclusion and justice, and we're gonna write all these articles about this theory and critical race theory and la 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 la. But in your daily life, you over here acting a fool. You over here acting a racist fool, and you want people to want to work at your institution. And this whole DEI stuff is really just a bunch of bullcrap, because you do not care. Black women are dying because of the fake mess that is out here. So with that being said, for the purposes of this video, I did just want to share my experiences, but there was no way that I could share what's going on with me if I do not acknowledge the other Black women before me that have dealt with so much, and that as a result, they are no longer here with us, or they are no longer in their roles. And I just felt the need, I have to highlight these stories to highlight how disgusting higher education really is. So now let's go ahead and dive into what my story is, what has been going on. So I remember getting accepted into IU, which is Indiana University, for my PhD. I had several options, but I decided to go with IU because it provides great resources. The program was highly ranked, and I was like, okay, I think that this will be a really good fit. So the first year I took a assistantship, so which is a job that pays your tuition in turn for a stipend for those that are new. I took a GA with someone, and this individual had a track record for their racist and discriminatory behavior, which I had no idea until I got to the school. And I was thinking, oh my God, why didn't nobody tell me, right? So everything at first started off great, right? Like, you know, we got along great, very friendly when I saw this person, everything was fine. But then after a while, people's true colors start to come out. I usually say at about 6 months is when you really get to know someone and when their true colors really start to show. So this individual specifically would start saying racist comments to me and to my colleagues in group meetings. So one example is when we were in a group meeting and this person ran some research on different schools that were in the area. And for whatever reason, they wanted to focus strictly on the Black students, which I found very weird, especially since you don't like Black people anyway. But anyway, so we're all sitting in the meeting, and then this person says, oh yeah, I've been looking at some data, and it's just so funny to me that how all of the Black students that are in this area are just so stupid, that they just get stupider and stupider and stupider. And that while we got the white students that are just so intelligent, like how is this happening? And I'm just sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, I'm literally sitting there like, what? I can't believe this person said that while I'm in this meeting. So then I said, okay, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that? And this person had nothing to say. That's one example of what I've been through. Another example is that how this person has made comments about my looks, my hair, my family, that when I was going back home, that this person was making fun of my mother's physical health illnesses. Also too, that this person has made comments about my financial status by saying things such as, Deja wears all these expensive clothes, she carries all these expensive bags, she drives this expensive car, and she's spending all of our grant money on her lifestyle and her travel, which I personally thought was extremely inappropriate. But these are some of the things that I have dealt with as a Black woman that's in higher education. On top of that, this same person at one point called a group of Black women slaves as they were working up on research while they were up in the basement of our institution. So yeah. And I'm a graduate student and I had to deal with things like this. So I can only imagine how worse it is to have to work with someone like this as a person that has an administrative role, and you have to work with this person almost every day constantly. And this is what you deal with. And just keep it in mind, I'm a graduate student. This is what I had to deal with. And also that this person was white, for those that are wondering. This person was white and about, if I had to guess their age, I'll say about 70s or like late 60s. So just to give you some background about that. So that's one example. The most recent example that has been going on with me that has been very triggering is my current situation with my supervisor, who is a white woman and who ironically studies inclusion, equity, all these different things, but in fact has given me nothing short of a hard time. So to give y'all some background about that, so what happened is that I was working under this person for a part-time hourly job that I had. And then as soon as I got hired on to that part-time hourly job, she was my supervisor for that job too. But it seems as though as soon as I got hired on, I really gained a lot of popularity. People were always wanting me to come speak at their events because since I specialize in studying diversity, activism, just all of those kind of topics, so people were really wanting me to speak. So I became, a lack of a better words, famous. So when I started working there, I grew so much. People were requesting me all the time. I mean, really, I grown to be so popular to where I was booked and busy all the time. Like, I had deans, admin, the provost, like people were hitting me up like, wow, Deja, like you're amazing. I really want you to speak at this. Like things was going up at that job. But nevertheless, it seems like that she was intimidated and a little bit jealous that I was getting so much attention and that I was accomplishing so many things, and it seemed to bother her. So then I noticed as I gained more popularity, it seems as though she became uncomfortable with that. So she tried to control me, as in she tried to control how much I'm working. She was monitoring every move I made. When I say every move, I mean every move. If I was 2 minutes late into the office, it was like, why are you late? You're not working? Like what? So you missed 2 minutes of work because you were late for 2 minutes? And there was one time where I was working from home, because since in this job it's really hybrid, so you can work half your hours from home, half of your hours in the office. So on the day I was at home, we had to be on Slack. For those that don't know, Slack is just a platform that where you basically it's like a group chat for professionals that are at work. Okay, so what I've been dealing with this particular supervisor is that she has bullied and micromanaged me to the point to where it has debilitated me. As in, whenever I receive an email from her, I instantly go into a panic attack. Whenever I have to go into the office for whatever reason, I panic. Whenever I have to do any work associated with this job, my body is on hypervigilance. Like, it's just truly just not healthy for me. And I know for a fact I'm not the only one that has dealt with these kind of things. And this is why I really wanted to talk about them and to share my story, because I know I'm not the only one. Okay, so then after the bathroom breaks is when things got even more specific, especially with my working hours. Like, say for example, if I wanted to flex time because I had to come in the office to do something else, she'll make a big deal out of everything. And again, y'all, just wanted to watch every move I made. And I went on a cruise this past summer that was already planned like 7 months in advance. I told her I was going on a cruise, and she's like, well, are you like going to make those hours up? And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, I have to make up hours for going on a vacation that I already told you about. But okay, so I made up my hours, whatever. The next thing that happens is, okay, so come August, I had COVID, and I probably got it from the cruise if we're being real, because you know, cruises are really gross places, but whatever. Anyway, I got COVID, and I had to do this presentation that was already scheduled, and I just decided I'm just gonna do it. I put on my mask and I just went to go do it. So I did not get paid for doing that presentation because she was so worried about my hours, and I did not get paid for that presentation. But anyway, come the next few days, she tells me I have to make up hours for being sick with COVID, because I took about 3-4 days off because I was just feeling really crappy, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to rest so I can do this presentation that has already been scheduled. So anyway, after then, she asked me to make up hours for being sick with COVID. Keeping in mind, I was still working that part-time job with her. And then something else changed after that. Anyway, so Slack can tell your boss and tell really anyone that's on there whether you are actively on there or not. So one time I was working from home, I literally took a 30-minute break to go to the bathroom and to eat lunch, and then I was back on Slack. Within that 30 minutes, she messages me and is like, why are you not active? And I was like, because I took a bathroom break and I was eating lunch. That's probably why I wasn't active for a little bit. And she's like, next time that you are not going to be active, I need to know. And I was like, okay. So then this was the moment where all of the weirdness and the craziness started to happen. Okay. So shortly after then, I noticed every move I made was literally calculated, monitored, and extremely surveillanced and policed. When I would be in the office, when I would take a bathroom break, she would be like, so where were you? And I'm like, the bathroom? Like, what? Okay, that happened. So while I was working that part-time job with her, I also took a assistantship with her. So because my old assistantship that was with that other person ended, I needed funding, so I decided to work with her because she apparently wanted me to be her graduate assistant. And come to find out that she was just a wolf in sheep's clothing, because while she pretended she wanted to really advocate for me, she actually just wanted to make my life absolutely miserable and very, very stressful. So I was trying to work both of the jobs, both the part-time job and also with my assistantship with her, but they naturally both started to overlap because I'm working in the same office. The nature of the work is the same, so I believe it's only natural that both of the roles will start to kind of overlap because the work is very similar. And she would monitor me. She's like, you need to be working this hours during certain times, and you need to be working only your part-time hours during part-time hours, and your GA hours during GA hours, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, like, y'all, when I tell you this woman would email me all day about my hours, about what I'm doing, it was really ridiculous. Like, it was to the point where I'm like, okay, like, this woman just might as well have me have a body camera on my chest so she could just watch what I'm doing all the time, so I don't always have to send a million emails. So anyway, that happens. So one day we meet because I guess she's like tired of micromanaging me, you could say, but she kept micromanaging me anyway. So we had this meeting and I had to meet with my advisor. And I told her, I said, hey, can we push that meeting back? And she's like, why? So like, what's the reason? Why? And I was like, I had to meet with my advisor. And she's like, okay, well, so you are also gonna have to make up that time after. I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Cause I just wanna keep my peace. I wanna keep peace of mind. I'm done, I'm tired of it. So we meet, and basically she wants me to stop the part-time job because it's too much for me, and it's too much for her to have to manage me in both ways. And I just said, okay, that's fine, I'll leave, whatever, done. So anyway, that all happens, right? And y'all, literally from there, it has been crazy. So keeping in mind that in that part-time job, I was thriving, I was flourishing, and it seemed like she did not like it. And anyway, she pretty much made me quit my second job so I could just focus on my GA, which I was like, okay, whatever. So while in my GA now, so this is strictly just the full-time GA job I have under her. She has been the worst person to work with. When I tell you that everything I do is watched and monitored, I mean, y'all, if I go to the bathroom, it's like, Deja went to the bathroom, so she didn't take her computer up in the bathroom, because that means she's not working. She's not working if she went to the bathroom. Like, it's like that. It's ridiculous amounts of monitoring. Are you gonna make up hours? You're sick. Oh my God, make up the hours. You have to go home. Oh my God, make up the hours. Like hours. Like that's the only thing she cared about. When she didn't care about any of the work I've done. Like you didn't care that I got people to be in this program, that you didn't care about all of the materials, all the meetings, all of the marketing I have done while I'm in my job. All you care about is my working hours. So essentially it feels like she just wants to control me and she wants to run me. And yeah, so that's what I've been dealing with, constant micromanaging. But the experience I had today really put the icing on the cake. So today, my supervisor scheduled a meeting and I noticed a sudden change in her behavior. All of a sudden, she decided to tag the assistant dean of the graduate school in all of our emails now, all of a sudden. Which I thought that was weird because he's not my supervisor, she is. So why in the world is she tagging him? Anyway, so she scheduled a meeting for us to be in person, which is next week, and then I declined the meeting and I said I have to travel back home for personal reasons, right? And she's like, I need to know that if you are going to be gone 2 weeks up in advance. While yesterday I was on the phone with my mother and my mom has to have surgery. So I told her, I was like, well, my mother's surgery just got scheduled, so I had to kind of make short notice plans. And she's like, oh, well, okay, speedy recovery. I was like, okay, so this woman is just evil at this point. And then she's like, what can I do to support you? And then I just basically say, stop micromanaging me. Stop worrying about everything I'm doing. Stop making this job more stressful than what it needs to be. As I'm a graduate student, I'm not a full-time employee. So basically she really didn't even want me to have the time off to go home for my mother's surgery. She did not want me to go, but it's too bad because I resisted and I'm going anyway. But yeah, but that has been my general experiences. So overall, just a recap is that like the deaths of Dr. Candia Bailey, the president at Temple, and then the other president has just been really overwhelming, and it just shows how Black women are not supported within higher education. And I have dealt with some of the same stuff here as a graduate student with both of my supervisors. I had one who was a crazy racist, and I have another one that is a micromanager to the T, as into where it is not healthy. And just both of those, I cannot imagine what those women were going through, especially Dr. Candia Bailey and also Dr. Claudine Gay from Harvard. I just could not even imagine the things they have been through, because as a grad student, I'm already going through some of that, but like, oh my goodness, I mean, I know it can get worse. I mean, this is what I've been through. I am watched like a hawk. Like, I'm watched as if I'm a prisoner. I have dealt with racism in my roles. So I think one thing I want to start talking about more in just my future videos, research, whatever, is just how we have to talk about the micromanagement of Black women in the workplace, and how that micromanagement actually does lead to bullying and to harassment and to essentially a lack of empathy and a lack of humanism. Because if you constantly are watching someone, you think you can control them, you think that they are your little prisoner, then you essentially stop seeing them as being a full human being, and you start to develop less empathy for them, which I believe is what has happened most recently in higher ed with Black women, and also personally with myself and what I have been through. So just to wrap up here is that first, I just want to thank y'all for coming to my video, listening to me, because this video is very different than the content I usually post. So I'm grateful that if you stuck it out and you are here for this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, I feel that I have to share my story because other people have died, are stressed, they have been handicapped because of the damages that have been done in higher education. We cannot afford for that to keep happening, and I'm determined to not be one of those people. I want my health, I want my wealth, I want my peace of mind, and we all need it. It is essential, it is important to our survival. But with that being said, I'm going to close this video out. Be sure to like, comment, to subscribe, share this video on your network, share it on LinkedIn, share it with your friends, your family, and I just hope this helps y'all. Until next time, bye.